What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Ghosted, a paranormal podcast. I'm your host, Jay Thomas, with my co-host and good buddy, Colton Spinks. Colton, you doing all right tonight, man?
I'm doing pretty good, Jake. What about yourself?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm excited about tonight. This is part two of our little mini series. Last week we had talked about heaven and everything. Just how great heaven's going to be when we get there, and the reason why you want to be there, and how beautiful it is and everything like that. Tonight we're going on the opposite end of that spectrum. We're talking about hell, and the title is Hell, the Eternal Lake of Fire and Brimstone. And that's what it has been classified, in scripture. It's been classified in Psalms that it is pretty much a lake of fire and hell and brimstone. um, you do not want to live there for eternity. That is for sure. So, Colton, get us started on our adventure tonight on this part two series of Heaven and Hell. And the night is on about hell.
Yeah, pretty dark topic. It's got to be talked about though. It is interesting as well. You have preachers that some preach hellfire and brimstone, as they say, and then some lean the other way and they kind of avoid it. So I guess a balance is key. But it's terrifying. I mean, just the description of hell will make you want to not go there.
Right.
So that's some good motivation. But hell is a place that was created or will be created. I'm not really sure if it has been now or if it will be, but regardless, it's a place created for Satan and the other fallen angels, demons, and of course, people that do not make it into heaven. So I got some notes written down. There's a lot more in the Bible than I actually originally thought about hell. So hell is not only like a it seems physically painful place, but it says that hell is a place that the Lord is not present.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what that feels like. I'm not sure a place where God is absent intentionally. God's not there. It says that in I think it's Thessalonians. I got it right here. It is in Thessalonians, and the presence of God is not in hell. And so again, I don't know what that could be like. Uh,
Yeah, that's odd.
the the absence of God. But yeah, it's a terrifying description. Lake of fire.
Yeah.
It seems like people think you'll burn physically for eternity. That's a common belief there, and it says people will thirst for water, but they won't get it, and that makes you think: is it thirsting for the Lord's presence, maybe, and you won't get it, or actual water? Could be both.
Then that
Uh,
spiritual water. Yeah, that's true, Colton.
yeah. So some people think the devil is in hell, Satan is in hell. That's a misconception. Me and Jake was just talking about it.
Mhm.
Now the devil is the prince of this earth. He rules this earth, and of course, all authority lies with Christ. But the devil was given free reign of earth, and he absolutely causes chaos, and we see that. I mean, it's just endless chaos. The things that you wouldn't believe are happening happen. All evil comes from Satan,
Yeah.
and he will rule on earth until he is cast into the abyss, not hell. He'll be cast into the abyss in Revelations and chained, imprisoned for 1,000 years. But after that 1,000 years, he will be let free, and he will wage war on the righteous people. And then after that, he'll be destroyed by the fires of heaven, is what it says. And then, and only then, will be he cast down into the lake of fire. So he knows it's coming. It's going to be at the very end, but that's where he'll spend eternity. And there was this painting. It was on YouTube. I saw it or something, and it's of Satan after he fell from heaven. A famous painting. I'm not sure who painted it. It's probably kind of important, but I don't know. And he's looking up, towards the heavens, and he's like kind of crying, and he is like real spiteful, kind of got a mean look on his face. And the title was something like "Better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven," something
Mhm.
like that. And I read the comments, and people's like, "Nah, that ain't how it works. He ain't gonna rule in hell. He's gonna rot there." He's.
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna be his kingdom. Hell, I think it's just gonna be his prison, more like. So
And everybody else's prison who doesn't accept Jesus into their hearts,
yeah,
and
that
confess
is
their sins.
exactly that exact title. Better to rule in hell. That's the whole reason Satan fell was pride. You
Right.
know the saying, the famous saying, "Pride comes before the fall."
Mhm.
I mean, where does that come from? I'm sure it comes from Satan, the story. Pride,
Yeah.
then the fall. So yeah, it's a good start there. It's a big topic. Who doesn't know about it? Maybe not in detail. This is why we're talking about it.
Right.
Horrible place. Don't go there.
No. No, no, no.
But
I,
I got some more notes here I can kind of go through because we got another topic we're gonna speak on a
well,
little bit.
before you jump over I want to I found this verse, Colton, and you may actually have it wrote down, but it's Psalms 9:17. Do you know what Psalms 9:17 says?
No, I'm not familiar.
It says the wicked go down to the realm of the dead, all the nations that forget God. Now that struck me because what's happening in today's world in our own country. We have moved so far away from God that we are, you talking about the devil reigning supreme and causing chaos. You don't have to look no further than what's going on in today's society to see that. We are straying so far away from God. We are, we don't even teach the Bible and do prayer and stuff in schools no more. We're allowing the, and I'm getting controversial here, but the LGBT movement to take over our schools and all that, when all that is sinning against God, we're allowing that. So we as a nation are doomed for failure just because of that. And the devil's got his hands all in it.
Man, it's so obvious. And I think once you realize that it is Satan ahead of this whole thing
Mm-hmm.
and his fallen angels, demons, it makes sense because
Yeah.
rationally none of it makes sense at all until you bring in the spiritual realm. Then it makes
Right.
sense.
Yep.
Just speak on that for a second there, Jake. France, the Olympics, they mocked the Last Supper very obviously and blatantly.
Oh,
They mocked it. They introduced gods, you know, Hindu gods and things like that, which are not. They're not god like a little g. They're demons. They're
right.
fallen angels that people worship, especially in the past. A lot of Hindu gods like that. One of them was
And
blue. One or two of them,
yeah.
and that's a lot of Hindu stuff. It seems like anyway. Very evil, very bad.
Yeah.
France garbage.
Bad.
I
Yeah.
mean, you
I
know,
haven't watched a single second of the Olympics because of all that junk that they
I
did on
haven't
the open
either.
center. So I couldn't care less.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
horrible. It's in our faces. I mean, it's not even hiding anymore, but
No,
it's wild stuff.
it is.
But I got some more verses here that just kind of touch on the topic in Matthew. A lot of good stuff comes from Matthew, of
Oh,
course, in the
yes.
Gospels. That's when Jesus was going about his parables and he was
Mhm.
preaching to people, healing people. So
Yes.
it says, "Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of one who can destroy both the soul and the body in hell." So
Mhm.
saying, don't be afraid of your enemies, whoever that may be. The Satan, you know, they can't do nothing with you. They can kill your flesh, but as far as your soul, they can't do nothing.
Nope.
Only God can. But that's your free will. It's your choice, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I went through most of this, so got it covered pretty well.
It's, this, we've got, like you said, we got this other topic we're going to touch on, but, just hell in general. We have said a lot of things about hell, and, it's just, that the realization of it is it's internal damnation, pretty much. It's something you don't want because, like Colton has mentioned, you're going to be thirsting for water now, whether that is the spiritual water of the Lord, your Jesus Christ, or actually, what happens when people get hot and they're baking, especially in Alabama and in the middle of July and August, and it's 95 degrees outside with 108 million humidity. It's you thirst for water. So I don't know if it's the spiritual water that you're thirsting for or the actual, because you're hot, water for yourself, for your flesh. But that is somewhere that I do not want to spend an eternity at, for sure. It is somewhere that I want to stay long away from. And how we do that, guys, is through our Lord Jesus Christ. You repent, you accept him into your heart, you repent of your sins, and then you live out the rest of your life and get lost souls, you know, to him, and just overall be a better version of your past self once you accept Jesus into your life.
That's right, Jake. I feel like I'm in hell right now. I'm in the garage. It's hot. I'm sick, and I'm drinking coffee, and I don't know if you can tell, but I'm sweating pretty bad. But I'm in it. It's all right. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
I have a new place set up. We was talking about that. But yeah, you're exactly right there.
Mhm.
Uh, one cool thing I kind of put two and two together. The thing it's like death, and he
Yeah,
holds the scythe. I think I'm pronouncing that right. The thing to
yeah.
harvest wheat with.
It's like what is it? The Green Reaper they call it.
Yeah, yeah, the Grim
Yeah.
Reaper. That's it.
Hmm.
That's it. So kind of tie this together, and it's a parable in Matthew, and this is only part of it, but it says the angels will come and separate the wicked from the righteous and throw them into the blazing furnace where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So it's
Yes.
saying here the angels will come. It seems during the rapture maybe that they'll come to separate God's people from not, and you know they'll separate them. They'll bring the ones up.
Right.
Seems like that.
That's
So I've
another
seen,
topic thing, Colton, is the rapture. We could do a show on it because
yeah,
that is very, very interesting and very intriguing on that. So yeah, go ahead.
I've seen Jesus depicted with a scythe, like death, and it's pretty. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. He
Right.
comes to harvest his people.
His people. Yeah.
Yeah, and you could also depict an angel with one. That makes some cool biblical art, I think.
Hmm.
But yeah,
We could don't want to turn this into a Bible study, but the whole book of Revelation sets up what's going to happen: the rapture, the trials and tribulations, the 7 years, period there where it's just, the Antichrist is going to Rome and pretty much solidify and make one nation, and everybody's going to, pretty much bow to him. I mean, it's all in Revelations. We could talk about that, because we are a paranormal, you know, podcast, but that is paranormal because we've not experienced that yet. We can talk about it, but I mean, it's incredible once you get into Revelations on what's going to happen. Jesus going to come back, on a white horse with all of his angels, and it's this going to be a huge war, and of course, Jesus is going to win, and whoever was left during that time and does not, if I remember correctly, does not get the mark of the beast, that means they gave their life back to Christ. He comes back and gets all of them. And then there's just going to be absolute just peace for, I was it thousands of years on earth before the next trials, I guess, happen. If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I actually dove into Revelations, but it sets it up all there on what to expect, from the rapture to the 7 years tribulation to Jesus coming back. It's incredible, an incredible book.
yeah, we could do like a mini series on the Book of
Right.
Revelations.
Yeah.
Man, it's complicated, and
Hmm.
people still debate, scholars and things like that on
Right.
certain things. What is the beast rising out of the sea?
Hmm.
No, I'm not sure. It's
Godzilla. No, I'm just kidding.
what
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
it may look like that. We
Right.
ain't sure. Is it? And things in Revelations, sometimes you wonder, is it literal or is it figurative?
Right.
Uh, I'm simply not sure. But
Right.
yeah, it's incredible stuff. And
Hmm.
we talked about that one time, kind of like the rapture, tribulation a little bit.
Hmm.
And after that, I heard things that I had learned and studied that how they were disagreed with amongst other Christians. And
Right.
so, man, is it complicated? This stuff is the rapture before or after the 7 year tribulation? Some say before, some say after.
Hmm.
Anyway, it's super complicated. Yeah, maybe
Very.
we can speak on this next subject a little bit, Jake. I feel like we
Yeah. Go
covered
ahead. Hmm.
hell pretty well. Uh,
There's not a lot. There's a lot to talk about heaven because it's scripture. Hell, there's some scriptures there, but really, all we really know is it is a lake, internal lake of fire and brimstone, and the smell of sulfur. Talk about sulfur smell and all that. And really, whenever you have a demonic spirit presence, what is a lot of people talk about smelling during that? They smell sulfur. So it just all kind of connects and makes sense. So yes, hell, internal lake of fire, brimstone, sulfur, demons, just absolutely do not want to be there for your rest of eternity. Stay away from it. Go to heaven. Go to Jesus Christ. That's all I can say about that subject. Now we can move to our next topic, Colton, and it's very another controversial, really topic, but it falls in line with these topics that we talked about.
yeah, so you mentioned last week, kind of you opened up a certain topic, and it was
Yeah.
exorcisms, churches, things like that. So, I mean, I started to get this question in the back of my mind somewhat recent, and so I grew up in a Southern Baptist church. I'm a Christian, and you know, I knew about other churches, of course, other denominations, uh, but man, I've embarked on something, trying to figure something out. Uh, Within Christianity, you have basically three categories we
Right.
can start off with, and that is the Catholic Church, the Orthodox Church, and the Protestant Church. And within each of those lies some other, variant, you know, levels, I guess you could say. I don't. It's hard to word, but
Yeah.
mostly with the Protestants, not so much with the Orthodox or Catholic. It's more straightforward, I guess I could say. Uh, so Protestants consist of things like Baptist, Southern Baptist, Methodist, Pentecostal, Church of Christ,
Mhm.
Presbyterian, and more. There's a lot of them. A Lutheran, I think, was the
Yep.
first actually, and there's a lot of history that goes behind this. And I'm no expert, but I am learning about it. And man, is it a little bit complicated? And I ask, well, why is there so many? Why is there not just one? It makes me feel like there's division within Christianity.
Yeah.
And well, maybe it is, but maybe it's not. Maybe God uses things to get people in different ways. And maybe again, maybe it is division. I'm not sure yet. So me and Jerry, we've been embarked on this thing where we visit churches, and it's been a great experience. We went to Catholic Church, Orthodox churches, and many Protestant churches. So we haven't had a bad experience. Uh, there are different beliefs in these churches, in some of them. The Catholics, very greater. They believe we're all kind of on the same page, but there are differences in beliefs, and that's the thing I'm trying to figure out here. Just to touch on that, anyway. Exorcist. I asked the question a couple years ago. Why do these churches around here? There's 1,000, I swear. They're everywhere.
Yeah, they are.
Why do they not have exorcists? Because the Catholic Church has exorcists. Maybe not everyone, but they have appointed exorcists within the church, and the Orthodox do as well. And I started learning about demonic possession and things like that. And I'm like, well, it's a problem. I'm listening to interviews with exorcists, and they're saying it's a growing problem. Yet, why do the Protestants not have exorcists? And they do, but it's rare. It is rare, and there's a thing called deliverance ministry where it's kind of like exorcist. It's kind of not. It's kind of different, and there's a lot of fakeness in that. I just said, it's going to be controversial a little bit, but there's a lot of fakes out there. You can tell.
Right.
They put on a show. They act like they're possessed, but they're not. That's just how it is. It's on TV and stuff, but the stuff is real. It exists. So, I mean, somebody's possessed, pretend, and it's like, I need help. Where do they go? They
Yeah.
go up to the Baptist church up the road.
No, they
They're
can't.
they're likely not going to find help there.
Right.
That's just how it is. So you can find help within the Catholic Church, it seems. But why? I just ask, why do they not? Do they not believe it, or do they not take it seriously, or do they simply have just never? I don't know. They never had a mentor or something. Because in the New Testament, it comes up time and time again. It's a serious problem back then, and I mean, why wouldn't it be now?
Right.
It comes up again and again. Jesus Christ, he exorcised the man. We're Legion, that story. Uh, and he taught the 12 disciples how to be exorcists, essentially. That
Hmm.
word wasn't used, but he taught them how to cast out demons, and it told about their encounters,
Right.
many different encounters. So that's just kind of something I've asked. It ties in with what we're talking about. We talk about demons all the time, and this is we're Christians, why do we not know how to fight against that? It's more of a question, a conversation than me stating things.
We have been
It's
told and taught, like you said.
right. It's
We
more of a
we
conversation. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I got questions. I don't know. It seems not right. It seems like something needs to be done about that. The Protestant world lacks such things, such knowledge.
Well,
It's right in front of all of our faces, though.
right. And they say that the Catholic Church, is the Catholic Church, and then like the step down is the Baptist Church. Well, you figured some of those doctrines have initiated down to the Baptist, but how come that exorcist, doctrine come down with it? Because like you
Right.
mentioned, you go, especially here in the South, there's a lot of Baptist churches and there's a lot of Methodist churches. Mainly, if you go anywhere, it's Baptist church on every corner, right beside a Dollar General, pretty much in the South. In Alabama, for sure, there's a Dollar General and a church at every corner. It seems like. But I ran into this, Colton. I've told my story several times about being up against the top hat man, and I ran into that same issue when I was trying to find help for this family. I reached out to several different preachers, and they all told me that's something we don't do, you know, but we'll be praying for you and the family. Okay, thanks for your prayers, but why is this not being discussed more? Because obviously it's out there, like you said. That news stories for a few years ago with the priest saying that it's occurring a lot more now. I don't feel like there's enough priests in the world that can cast out demons. And we know there's demons out there all over the place. So there's a lot of demons out there. And how are we going to get rid of them if we don't have the priest and the doctrine to stop these demons from taking over? Because honestly, they're doing a good job taking over right now. We don't have anybody to fight back at this moment.
Yeah. It's That's the question, man. I mean, what's going on here? Like,
Right.
you accept parts of the gospel and not accept others?
You can't. I mean, that's
No,
what I understand
no.
Christians, you know.
It it's something else. If you say you're a believer, you got to believe all of it.
Right. Exactly. You
So
can't pick and choose the gospel what you want to believe and what you don't. Because we mentioned this a little bit last week and we mentioned it before. A lot of Christians hate the term ghosts and spirits and all that, but it is in the Bible. You cannot pick and choose what you want to learn about, I guess is the best word to say, out of the Bible. You can't pick and choose because the Bible is the Bible. Everything that's in that Bible is how we're supposed to live our life and learn how to be better Christians. We can't pick and choose out of it. Whatever God says and whatever Jesus said on this earth, that is 100, I want to say 1,000% fact. It
yeah,
happened.
I agree.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, it's like you said, who do you call? Like
Right,
I know it's not happening every day around in our community. It's happening every day in the world, of course, because the world's a big place.
right,
But within a preacher's lifetime, I don't doubt he comes across it, and I don't doubt he don't know how to deal with it.
right. Yeah.
I've heard things. I've heard things about potential possession and people not knowing. In the church, they throw their hands up. They don't
Mhm.
know.
Right.
So the Catholics got it figured out in that aspect. They do. Hats off to them.
Hmm.
There's a lot I'm trying to learn about the Catholic faith, uh, Orthodox as well. Everything. I grew up Baptist, but
Same.
I don't claim to be Baptist. I'll say I grew up Baptist, but I mean I'm a Christian. That's just at the end of the day, that's what I am. Uh, I don't know. It's like, what do you identify with as far as the church? I don't know. I really don't.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, I mean, Christian. That tells you everything, I think. But man, this is something I thought about a lot over the years, and I don't know. It's kind of it'll make your head hurt a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very broad topic. This mini series has been fun because there's a lot of stuff that I've learned about talking with you, um, from both accounts. I have started ever since my experience, got into a lot of more the demonic stuff, and the paranormal, but the exorcism I haven't touched on really well. So learning a little bit about that from you has been fun to to hear because you're really into that, and it's great. But Colton, we me and you talk. I have my issues with churches, and it's it's something that I'm going to have to work on myself, with. But what you and Jerry and Colton mentioned Jerry earlier. Jerry's a coworker of ours, but going to visit all these different churches, that's something I see could be fun because you're learning about different, I guess, denominations and everything, and how each one is set up differently. Now they are different, but and I feel like all the churches have kind of strayed away from this. Really, the number one goal in every church ought to be Jesus Christ. You know, right now it's almost like high school football and high school athletics in general. It's about, so and so needs to run the church, and that's final. It shouldn't be like that. It should be the church is the church. Yeah, there's a bunch of sinners at that church because we're human. We are sinners, but the church is there to lead people to God and Jesus Christ. That is their sole purpose. That is what they should do. It should not be politically based. It should not be anything like that. But yet again, the devil has got his hands in some of the denominations, and has really taken a toll because the Methodists right now, they are allowing, there's I think a gay preacher right now. The Bible talks about that specifically. It's man and woman. That's it. You can't have man. You can't have woman. It's man and woman, as as God intended it. So allowing a gay preacher, we're straying away. And we talked about the church's fall. It's not good for us.
Oh, you said it. That is the truth, and it's painful. It
Mm-hmm.
is. The Satan has infiltrated churches. That's just
Yep.
how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Truly, he has. And the Methodist, well, the United Methodist, I think it's called. It's an organization.
Yeah.
There are other Methodists that aren't associated with that,
Yeah,
but
they are.
man, the name is tarnished, is it not?
Yeah, it is.
It's tarnished. Sadly, maybe not. Maybe it can recover, but that I would consider the United Methodist fallen, and I
Yep.
would never be a part of that. It's absolutely sad, and
Yep.
it's going for others too. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't stop there.
Right.
You just got to hold that off. It's evil, and I mean it's inviting sin into the church.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. We love the people. That's how it is. We love them. Everybody loves. You're supposed to,
Right.
but you don't invite and celebrate sin in the church. It's absolutely disgusting. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's it. You got to fight against it. I think we're in the end times because the church is severely under attack,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not just the Methodists. Everyone is, and we see them fall. But who's next? The Baptists,
Right.
uh,
Yeah. And
Catholics. Who knows?
the
Uh,
you know who
it's
knows.
it's brutal. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So I see churches. One down the road here, local to us. It closed. It closed because there was a couple old people. There was nobody to keep it going, and
Mm-hmm.
it's done. It's done, and I see that there's 100 churches around here that are small churches, and they got a
Dying.
congregation of 90-year-olds,
Yeah.
and it's not going to keep going.
No.
It's going to die, and
Mm-hmm.
it's sad. So we're seeing churches fall like that, and then again, some churches are filled with babies and young people. So that's good to see. I love seeing that. It's really
Absolutely.
great.
Mm-hmm.
So there is hope, and I mean the church has to stay strong in the fallen world because evil is eroding the fabrics of society from
Mm-hmm.
within. It starts small and goes big. So
That's right.
uh, we can keep hope though. I mean, we
Yep.
know it's going to happen. I mean,
Right.
it tells us in the Bible. So
Right.
keep on trucking, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, Colton, I think that puts a bow on the part two of our mini series. This has been a fun mini series. Honestly, it's been great to talk with you about heaven and hell, and then everything that kind of spun off of that. Um, but yeah, man, the churches, we've got to get the churches back. Leading people to God and Jesus, and get out of the political game. Period. So that's my last word. If you got anything else you want to add tonight, Colton?
No, that pretty much covers it. I think we covered hell pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Needed to be done, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, thank you for listening. I really like these little mini series. We may come back to those in the future. Um, but Colton, I don't know exactly what we got planned for next week. We'll come up with something, but I know we got a lot out there. I mean, you've talked about doing a story on the moon. We've talked about Mars, space in general. That could probably be our next miniseries, honestly, because there's so many different topics out there. Talked about Mars. You got the face on the Mars. There's a lost city on Mars, supposedly, and pyramids that we have found now. Once it got exposed, now they've been doctoring up, and there's nothing there, stuff like that. I mean, and it's out there for everybody to see. That's not me making up anything. uh the moon, there's stories of the moon, the backside of the moon. There's alien bases, and the moon's hollow. I mean, there's a lot out there, and space in general. There is a planet called Planet X that is just outside of our solar system, and supposedly that's where the Anunnaki live. And the Anunnaki come back every 700 years to Earth. I'm just telling you what's out there. So we have all those topics we can talk about, and getting back to Bigfoot, getting back to dogmen, getting back to UFOs, ghosts, spirits, all that's out there. So we'll come up with something good for you guys. Thank you all for listening. This has been Ghosted Paranormal Podcast with your host, Jake Thomas, Colton Spinks. You guys have a great evening. We'll see you back here next Thursday night with a brand new episode. And we'll probably throw a live in here pretty soon. So stay tuned for that as well. Y'all have a good evening and good night.